decided that I wanted to have like a social media break. So pretty much just deleted everything off my phone. And because having so much free time, I was actually able to study. So coming back from Japan, I was learning Japanese, and then I decided to learn Korean, and then from there I found Mandarin. And the thought process behind this was, originally I was actually going to try and do a working holiday in Japan, but a few things kind of impacted me deciding not to. One being, we make so much more money in Australia. So if I was to go to Japan, one, I wouldn't even know what I would do for work. And two, I'm better off working here and just traveling in Japan than like doing a working holiday. And also I had a friend that was living in Japan, and like just seeing how it was for him and like not being able to say anything. And like in the 3 months that I visited Japan, I saw more than what he did in like the 18 months of him living there. So that was one reason. And also I've seen so much of Japan now. So like me going back, it was literally just like buy a car, do car things, and like live there. But in my head I was like, you know what, I need to go and I need to see something new, not just like the same thing again. So then I decided, okay, maybe I'll go to Korea, and I'll go and study or do a working holiday in Korea. And kind of like looked into it. I was going to study and stay for 3 months and like travel around, but then I realized if I'm going to Korea, it's really just Seoul and Busan is like the main cities, whereas like in Japan and in China, for example, there's so many more like major cities to go visit. So then I decided, okay, maybe I'll just do like a shorter trip to Korea, like maybe a month or so, and then I'll go to China. So then in like starting to learn Mandarin, I actually started picking it up like pretty quickly. And even though people say that it is a hard language to learn, it is, but also like it makes a lot of sense, and the more you learn, the easier it gets. So I kind of just kept studying, and then as I was looking into visas for China, I was looking at a study visa. So it's a ×2 visa, and you can stay for 6 months. And I knew with the visas for China, that sometimes it can be like a little bit tricky to apply. So I wanted to find like the easiest option for me to be able to stay like the longest amount of time. So from what I know, you can get a tourist visa, which is like 1 or 3 months, but you have to have like a proper plan. Like you have to have a tour or hotels booked and contacts and everything like for you to get approved for that visa. Whereas the study visa, I decided to have a school, and then I have like 1 month accommodation booked, which I put in the first month of accommodation, but they don't even ask how long you're staying there. They just ask you for an address. So that's all I needed to do. And then my school, basically I paid them a deposit and they put together the paperwork for me, and then I used the paperwork to apply. And then once I received my visa back, then I paid for my tuition in full for my school. So pretty much the idea is staying for 6 months. I get to like travel around and see like a lot of China, I hope. My study is going to be like Monday to Thursday morning class, so I have like afternoons free for whatever I want to do in Shanghai. And also I can travel like Friday to Sunday if I want to go to like Beijing or another smaller city. And hopefully I can take some time off here and there to see a little bit more as well. I'm hoping to maybe take a week off where I can to do other travel a bit further. And as I said, I'm basing myself in Shanghai, so that's where I'm studying. So I'll be living there. Like I said, I booked 1 month already, and then I will figure it out as I go, where I want to stay and where I want to base myself in Shanghai once I know like the areas and become a bit more familiar. But pretty much like I have so many places in China on money and it depends on time, because I also had to save for this trip to save to live, because I can't work on my student visa. So I mean work legally, that is. So if I can find something that's like maybe cash in hand, I don't know, I have a few contacts in China now. I was even thinking of doing like some sort of volunteer or helping out somewhere if I could, just to kind of get me amongst people. I really want to be social and make new friends, and this is one of the reasons why I like committed so much to learning the language. Was when I was in Japan, I found that it was hard for me to make friends and like meet people. I was there for 3 months, but I was moving around so much that I never really got the chance to like base myself in one place and meet people. But also just with the language barrier and not many people speaking English, that also made it hard too, and that's hence why I started learning Japanese when I got back. But pretty much that's the idea in China, is like at least if I know a basic Chinese and enough to get me by, and then studying there too and like meeting new people and being able to practice, I think my experience will be like totally different compared to not speaking the language. Even just getting around, asking questions, being able to pronounce words, like I think that in the 6 months I'm there, it will just like really boost my study so far. So like I said, I have already been studying for 6 months. So I'm at about a intermediate level, so I can have like a very basic conversation. But yeah, I'm excited to see how I progress in the next 6 months, and the people that I meet and the experiences I have. So yeah, I think that's kind of all the reasonings behind it. I was also hoping to get to Korea and get back to Japan maybe during the 6 months that I was going to be in China, but my visa is only a single entry visa, so it means that once I arrive in China, if I leave, I can't go back. So I did want to try and apply for like a multiple or a double entry visa, but you actually had to have like dates and details of when you'd be leaving and coming back, which I wouldn't have, because if I was going to go to Korea or Japan, it would be kind of like a spontaneous last minute weekend or whatever trip. So unfortunately I just had to apply for whatever was easiest for me, which was the single entry. But yeah, I definitely will get to Korea eventually, I hope, even maybe like after China. I don't know, we'll see how I am with money, I guess. But I fly out on the 7th, arrive on the 8th of August, and I will be coming back to Australia on the 2nd, arriving back on the 3rd of February. Another reason that I planned this trip around this time is Chinese New Year is actually on the 29th of January. So that was like one of the things I wanted to make sure I was there for, is to be there for Chinese New Year, which I did find out, which I do know now, that it's actually extremely busy at that time. So I probably won't be traveling around much at that time, but at least being there on that date, I'll get to see like some of the celebrations, which I don't know where I'll be at this